We could just go through the weekend,
Toxicity.
Right? So Saturday, Zach Wheeler, we're at the game Saturday, and Zach Wheeler was as good as you could be for a starting pitcher in the postseason.
He was everything that you thought he would be for the disrespect that he felt when they didn't want to give him tickets to the game.
Yeah, totally. He was incredible. Zach Wheeler was an ace on Saturday. And basically everyone else on that day except Kyle Schwarber stunk. They all didn't do anything. Bryce got on base a couple times, but nobody else really did anything that game. The offense was bad. They played in the shadows. The bullpen was terrible. And you leave that game Saturday like, oh, God. The Mets have this thing about them, and it's 1-0, and we gave them a game. And it led to all the pressure yesterday, Hugh. Yes. All that pressure. And the game starts, and Sanchez was good, but he gave the home run to Vientos. And then Ruiz comes in, he gives up the home run to Alonso. And it's 3-0 Mets. Hugh, and the at-bats the first half of the game, like yesterday, last evening, were just like Saturday.
They were chasing.
You
know what the ironic thing about that is that they made it their business to tell us on a Friday that they weren't going to chase.
And then what happened?
And I'd be damned if they didn't do it. What'd you say, for a game and a half?
Yep.
For a game and a half.
Including a moment, which we'll talk a lot about today, in the fourth inning when Castellanos had two of the worst swings. Castellanos has bad swings sometimes, but he had two swings in the fourth inning that were awful. And when he didn't swing, he got the old Bronx cheer where everyone kind of mockingly said, yeah, good job, Nick. And he looked up, and you could tell he was annoyed at the crowd. And Hugh, at that moment, and then you kind of juxtapose that with the next inning or so as the Mets go up 3-0. I sat there on my couch yesterday, and I said, this team has 4 at-bats left in this game to show if they have any guts. Because I was questioning in the 5th inning of that game, heading into the 6th, do they have any guts left? And then in the bottom of the 6th inning, they showed the guts we've been waiting for. Turner gets on, and Bryce Harper woke everybody up.
Severino's ready, and the pitch. Harper swings, drives it high and deep center field. Bader going back to the track, looking up, and it's gone off the batter's eye. 2-run home run for Bryce Harper. Straightaway center field. And there's life back in the joint as the Phillies trail by a run. It's 3-2.
Well, if there was a heartbeat after the Harper home run, 2 pitches later, Nick Castellanos got everyone up for good.
0-1. Breaking ball blasted. Game is tied. Castellanos way back to left center. Back to back for the Phillies. And it's a brand new game. 3-3 here in the bottom of the 6th.
So, Hugh, they tie the game. It's that's the first time the Phillies have 2 home runs in an inning in a playoff game to tie or take the lead that late since back in 2008 with Victorino Matt Stairs in Los Angeles. That was the last time we had an inning like that in Phillies postseason baseball. So the life is back. But, Hugh, the Mets just kept coming. Then Nimmo hits the home run. It's like, even though the Phillies had their moment, they didn't have it there. The Mets came back, and it took a lot more. It took that 8th inning and that incredible at-bat by Stott and the triple to set up everything. And then even the 9th inning, Hugh, they blow the lead again, and they got to come back with the Castellanos walk-off in the 9th inning. Hugh, that game, my heart was all over the place. I felt like I was going to throw up 5 different times, but they found a way to tie this series.
You know what's funny? That's one of those games that gives you a moment that if you could figure out how to close this thing out, it's going to be talked about in Philly's lore forever.
Yes.
Because that's a turning point moment. You talk about from that Bryce Harper at-bat to what Castellanos was able to do, the fact that the fans were all over him. And I don't care what anybody says. When he hit that walk-off, he was basically giving everybody the your number one sign. That's basically what he was doing. But hey, we'll take it. We will take it.
That was his apology. That was his apology. He looked like crap for 2 games. We told him about it. He wasn't happy about it, but then he had 3 straight hits, right? He had the home run, and then he had 2 big. The 8th inning. There's a lot to unpack from this game. We will today at 215-592-9494. Hugh, you know what I was most happy about down the stretch of the game? Home runs are awesome, right? Big home runs are awesome, and they changed the game. The Phillies at-bats from the 6th inning through the end of the game, that was the difference, right? The at-bats they had. You go to the 8th inning, they decide to pitch around Bryce Harper, which I thought was a mistake on their part, putting the go-ahead run at the batter's box, and then the at-bat by Castellanos to get a single, and the at-bat by Stott on the triple, that was the best at-bat they had to that point the entire game. He fought pitches off, he took pitches outside, laced the triple down the right field line. That was when it felt like they were back. They were all the way back. And whatever the heck happened in Game 1, the first 4 or 5 innings of Game 2, they woke back up, Hugh, just at the right time because let's all be real, everyone. We were 4 innings away from this series being over.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like because I was watching the game on my phone and I was getting like updates and everything, and that's what I felt. I felt like, man, this feels like this game is going to get away, and if it does, we're not going to feel good about going to New York because they're going to have all the momentum.
They would have been dead. I mean, we could say that we could pretend now, like, oh, yeah, if they lost yesterday, they could have come back.
No.
They were dead. I mean, if they lost yesterday, this series was all but a wrap, but they didn't. They found a way, and I was so impressed with the at-bats late in the game. They found a way to figure this thing out. After the game, JT Realmuto was asked if they could exhale a little bit now. Maybe they could breathe a little bit after coming back.
I think so, yeah. A couple of us were saying after the game, all right, we can breathe now. It's like for whatever reason, it felt a little tense, a little tight coming into the series, and we just weren't really ourselves in the box. I feel like now we can kind of let loose and just play our brand of baseball.
Well, Hugh, it's important that they figured it out because this thing, the postseason gets late very early, right? You got to have a sense of urgency. And, we could point to a lot of people that deserve the most credit for yesterday, but as always, it comes back to Bryce Harper, right? He got the party started with that home run, Hugh. When that ball was hit, it felt like the crowd came alive again.
Sigh of relief, man. And that's what you need from your big hitters. And I'll tell you another thing that happened yesterday was it was a little bit disrespectful for them to pitch around and pitch at Castellanos the way that they did, and he made them pay. It was tough, man. It was really, really tough, especially when you come off of that Saturday that we just had. Because I was in the building when Schwarber hit that home run, and that place went bananas, and you just felt like it was time. And that was when, we were going to take over. It didn't happen like that. It was the only hit that we had, the only run that we had, I should say. And it was tough. It felt like it was going to be tough sledding.
So I'm glad you mentioned that with them pitching around Bryce. I thought in the 8th inning they made a mistake. They put the tying run on base. They brought the go-ahead run to the plate in the 8th inning by pitching around Bryce. And the first couple games felt a lot like the Arizona series last year, where they just decided they're not giving Bryce anything to hit. They're not pitching to him. Make everybody else beat them. And we know what happened in the NLCS last year. It didn't work. Nobody else beat them. Castellanos beat the Mets yesterday. What an incredible last 3 at-bats for Castellanos. What an incredible win. I mean, that's the kind of game, and Hugh, you said it, we'll talk about this for a long, long time if this thing ends up with a championship. 215-592-9494. So much to react to today. Do you feel better about this series? And do you feel good about this series now? I mean, look, there's a lot of good. There's obviously some not good. I mean, right? The Phillies wasted a Wheeler start. Their bullpen has been hit around a lot the first 2 games of the series, and it took a game and a half to get the offense going. Are you feeling better, the same? How are you feeling today after that win? Kyle, what are you feeling back there? We know you went into the series feeling like crap. How do you feel now?
I'm just as much of a nervous and emotional wreck as I was going into the weekend, but I do feel a little bit better just because I saw the Phillies come back and win. Like, there was total doom going through my head, and like I felt like the ballpark did on Saturday and Sunday, like just toxicity. Like, I'm ready to take a sledgehammer to this entire roster and everything. I was so upset. I feel a little bit relieved now. Like, if you would have reversed the results and we won the Wheeler game and lost the Sanchez game, and then you tell me, look, we're split, we're going into Citi Field, we have Aaron Nola on the mound, I would tell you I feel pretty good. I'm glad that they finally got the bats going. They need to ride that momentum into the next game. But, like, I'll tell you, this series is just as tough as I thought it was going to be going in. Like, the Mets, you can't kill them.
They're like cockroaches.
The only way we were going to win that game yesterday was if we finished it in the bottom of the 9th or whatever. Like, we had to walk them off. You give them another chance. I didn't like the way that was going, especially with the bullpen. But, like, man, we showed that we don't die easily either. And, like, that's the biggest thing I got from this game is, like, okay, like, we belong in this series, even though it's weird to say because we're the favorites, home team going in and stuff. But, like, the Mets were hot. We were a little cool. But now it feels like, all right, we're both on even ground. Like, let's do this. Let's go win a 3-game series.
The Phillies showed incredible guts yesterday. 215-592-9494. Do you feel good about this series after the weekend split? We'll get to your phone calls coming up. All your reaction to an all-time Phillies playoff win, and you'll hear the montage. It is we need a montage. This is one of the best montages we've had in a very long time. The montage with all the great moments from yesterday. That's up next, along with your calls. It's the Midday Show, Sports Radio 94 WIP.